Yeah, so I'm a Holderness alum, so I graduated here in the spring of 2004, and actually missed my whole senior year hockey season here because I tore my ACL playing football. So I had committed to go to the University of New Hampshire after my junior year, and having not played for a full season, UNH kind of advised. They were coming off of a national championship appearance against Minnesota in 2003. It had a really good recruiting class coming in, so they advised that I play a year junior. So I played out in Chicago for a year, and then had a kind of a mixed career at UNH. I had continued to have some knee trouble, and but it was awesome being on the team, and had a good senior year there. And we ended up losing to BU in the regional final in Manchester. So it was fun playing, in the game to get to the Frozen Four and playing against front of New Hampshire, and the whole New Hampshire crowd at the Verizon Centers. And then after my playing career, I decided to kind of just, for a couple of years, do a few odd jobs with some friends and get away from hockey for a little while. And then I was a exercise science major at UNH. So ended up using my major and working in that industry for a couple of years down in Boston. And then was one of the athletes that I was training was doing a post-grad year at a local prep school in the area, and decided to go up and coach for his team. And that's what got me back into the prep school world. And it ended up being one of Holderness's competitors. So coached against Holderness, and then they had a coach opening. So that's what brought me back here.
Since you've been here, how has been the experience of building the program to what it is today?
Yeah, so they, to be honest with you, they did have some pretty good success a couple of years before I got into the prep school coaching industry. And then when I took the job at Holderness, they had a couple of pretty poor seasons in a row, and that was part of the allure of taking the job for me. I was between here at Exeter for where I was offered positions too, and kind of loved the challenge of trying to grow the program again and have it be a continued success every year. So that was one of the big reasons that I took the job here too.
And when you're recruiting players, what do you typically look for?
Yeah, so obviously I think in today's game, you got to be a good skater. That's always the first thing that jumps off the page at me with players is how well they skate. Good quick feet, athleticism, how well they handle the puck. Obviously seeing the ice and making smart plays and trying to have our team keep possession as much as possible. And then off the ice, good students good character kids around campus, like to do other things other than just ice hockey. I think our schools prioritizes that piece. So obviously you want mission appropriate kids for your school, so they have to be willing to do and like to do other things other than just ice hockey.
And where do players typically advance from Holderness? Do they go junior A? Do they go NCAA? How does that whole process work with Holderness?
Yeah, it's a pretty big mix, to be honest with you. I think we've had some players who have had some really good success in terms of, playing at the highest levels. One of our kids that graduated last year is projected 4th round pick at the NHL draft this year. So if that's a dream of yours, you can certainly accomplish that coming through here. I don't think that's the norm. I think a lot of kids that come here, like to play a high level of hockey and will likely end up being maybe low level or high end Division III players, low level D1 or high end Division III players, and still want to play at least a year or two of junior hockey to see how far they can go in the game of hockey. But I don't think we're a school that's ever going to be pumping out, 6, 7, 8 Division I players every year. We're just not big enough.
Yeah.
But trying to find kids who love the game and love to do other things and certainly want to play some college hockey.
Awesome. And what's one piece of advice that you'd like to give to hockey players before we wrap up?
Oh, that's a good question. Again, I think in today's market, a lot of kids and families, it's the sole focus of what they do. And I think from my upbringing and how I was as an athlete, I always loved doing multiple things. And hockey was a big piece of it, but it wasn't the only thing. So I would just say, have other interests. It'll bring more passion and fire to when you actually play too. If you have other things that you do and you're not playing 12 months out of the year, I think you can be a very good player and still play 6 or 7 months of the year, not all 12.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be that's usually my advice in today's market. And also just, I think a lot of the hockey industry in today's age is very much, it's all about me, like what's best for me, what's best for me, to try to be as much of a team as you can too.
If you like this type of content, click here or here to keep watching. Destroy that like button, hit that subscribe button, and click the link in the description below if you have any questions for us. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you on that next one.